Mr. Principal, Mr. Brown, and especially Linda. Thank you very much, Melinda, for that very generous introduction. I'm of course very pleased to be here on Founders Day. We didn't celebrate Founders Day all that long ago, but it is very pleasing that we do now. And I think that the chaplain's exposition was a very valuable one. Certainly, when Carey opened on the 23rd of February 1923, it was a triumph for, among others, particularly though, Leonard Tranter. It's 100 years ago this year since he began his campaign, but eventually he won support, considerable support, from ministers and laymen, and the thing was done. But I think we can include as founders the founding headmaster, Mr. Steele, the staff with him, and those 68 boys. Without them, there would have been no school. They were all taking a risk, but we're here today because they succeeded. For 56 years, Carey was a boys' school, but today, Carey is proudly a co-educational Christian international school. Now, it was all very well for them to found a school, but what were they going to call it? Various names were considered, but the name finally chosen was Carey, celebrating William Carey, and thus, in a sense, making him part of our history. Before I ever came to Carey, I had heard his name. I knew that he was a Baptist missionary in India, and that he had translated the Bible into a number of languages. That was all I did know. However, in 1993, the Indian government issued a postage stamp commemorating the bicentenary of the arrival of William Carey in India. And I realised then that there must be an awful lot of other things about this man that I should know. I was living in England at the time, and with the help of the Linnean Society, of which Carey was a fellow, and of others, I found that he, apart from his prodigious translation work, for which he received a doctorate, by the way, he was a brilliant botanist, accepted by the leading botanists of the time, with some of whom he regularly corresponded and exchanged specimens. But he did a good deal more than that. He published the first newspaper and magazine in the Bengali language. He founded the Agricultural Society of India. For 30 years, he taught Indian languages to students at Fort William College, the government college for the junior clerks of the East India Company. And he is lauded today by Indians for his contribution to what is known as the Bengali Renaissance. For the printing of his Bibles, Carey initially made the paper and ink in the Indian way. But in 1820, he introduced a steam engine to Bengal, and in 1830, the continuous paper-making machine. He founded Serampore College, the first tertiary institution in India. It opened in 1819 and is today a university college. He and his two colleagues, Marshall and Ward, paid for the building of that college. I do not wonder at the experience of an old grammarian who about 40 years ago was travelling in India with an Indian companion, and one day mentioned the name of his old school. The Indian stopped dead and said, "Not the great William Carey." John Mills wrote and told the then headmaster, Mr. Kramer, about that episode, and his letter is preserved in our archives. We're proud of our school. We can also be very proud of the name we bear. 80 years ago last week, I entered Carey with other new boys. We assembled outside your Angeline. There we met with famous men of little showing, but their work continueth, and their work continueth, broad and far continueth, greater than their knowing. Out of Egypt under Troy, over Himalaya, far and short our bands have gone. High Brazil and Babylon, islands of the southern run, and cities of Cathay. And we all praise famous men, ancients of the college, for they taught us common sense, tried to teach us common sense, truth and God's own common sense, which is more than knowledge. Thus Rudyard Kipling in 1899.